that, this world, we have, over 500 million small scale farmers who feed very, very large number of the world, more than half of the globe. But there is one big problem we have with these smallholder farmers. That is, they are so small that their voice is not heard in the market. And I think that is the key sentiment I carry all the time. And that is what we are trying to solve as I build what we are building as part of HFN. So, in HFN, we're sort of building an operating system for small scale farming ecosystem. And I'll explain a little bit on why I chose that word. Primarily because, I was with at Microsoft where I built Windows operating system. Probably you may have used it or heard about it. And if you think about an operating system, it's a layer which sort of obfuscate or sort of makes it easier to work with the hardware. So if you think about a computer which has tiny little millions of pieces, and if you have to use the bare bone hardware, most of us would not be able to use it. And what we do is we build an operating system, a layer on top of those all those chips and all those wires and crazy looking things, so that it makes it easier for you to use, interact, and do the full potential, unlock the full potential. And that's what the mission we are carrying. That, as you may imagine, we have so many smallholder farmers all across the world. Although they are small, but they have different, features, and they 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 may look different, they may farm different, they have very local problems and things like that. And if you want to solve a lot of those problems, we have to build a layer, a common layer, which can help make it easy for us to work with millions and millions of farmers. And that is what the intent of HFN is. I want to sort of focus on three key pillars of how, on which this HFN stands. And as you can read, high tech, high touch, and high trust. And I want to sort of add a personal story here a little bit to really explain how I ended up being where we are today. Obviously, I was in Silicon Valley. I was working with high-tech companies, built operating systems, Xbox. I've built a solar technology company in US. So when I started working on this problem about 10 years ago, I was very high-tech oriented. That means I was trying to solve the small-scale farmer problems, but building a solution which is very, very technology centric. And what I was doing there was building an AI about 10 years ago to process terabytes of data from NASA and European Space Agency satellites, so that we can tell what's happening at the farm level remotely. Because if I could tell what's happening at the millions of farms remotely, then I can solve almost all the major problems they have, whether it is access to market, access to finance, access to affordable input. However, I realized quickly, I mean, it took 2.5 years for me, that it wouldn't work if we really want to bring the change on the ground in a sustainable manner. I have to be on the ground. So that's when I left America and moved to India and started meeting farmers individually a lot more on day out, day in basis. And that I call as a high touch. And it took a couple of years passed by. And then I think I arrived eventually that we are in the business of high trust. And I think most of the businesses are, but particularly ours, because what I believe strongly is farmer is not working with us because our products are cheaper or our offerings are better. They work with us because they trust. And that's the most important covenant we have for ourselves, that although this journey took 9, 10 years to arrive at that, but these three together sort of becomes a fundamental way we operate, and you will see how this is helping us grow and taking to the places where we are. So that's the foundation work. I have couple of slides just to sort of unfold the work. I'm not going to go in a lot of details. I'll be happy to talk about in breakout sessions or otherwise. Uh, the how we work here is actually seeding the first step we call seeding the village cluster. So what we do at HFN is we identify a young person in the village. Usually, I think India, and I'm sure it is very, similar in Mexico and other places, wherein you have a young person in the village. He's a son or daughter of the farmer. He may have gone to the college but has no job opportunities in the village or in the cities. But what he has or what she has is big dreams. I mean, that person usually has a smartphone, and lot of dreams and lot of anxiety and frustration that he doesn't want to carry on the farming, and but he doesn't have enough skill sets or to go into urban areas and thrive there. So we identify these young generation which is in the farming, and we call them Sarathi. They are village level entrepreneurs for us. And what we do there is we provide them with a very simple to use a mobile app, a smartphone app, which helps them understand what is the business opportunity they have in the village. So what we use very simple technology. Using GPS, I can identify where they are in the village. We already know processed tons of data about entire India. So we know which village he is in, what main crops they are growing, if we have 500 acres together, what kind of agribusiness potential they have. And we show them that, hey, if you join hands with us, they can do a agribusiness of, let's say, some dollars. And that becomes a hook for us, for him to work with us. And using that, then we guide them through the process, by showing that, okay, now that you are willing to work with us, there are small micro tasks you would need to do, to be able to unlock these large opportunities. And these tasks includes adding farmer to the network, collecting the farm level data, telling the farmer that there's something called HFN, which is going to help them from seed to market. So this is like the seeding of the cluster. As you could see, we find a person, we equip them with the mobile app, we give them a training, and that's like a seeding a village cluster. What happens next? It starts to sprouting. When a Sarthi downloads the mobile app, he or she starts adding the farmers in the network. 100, 200, 300, sometimes 1300 farmers gets added into the system. Whenever farmer gets added into our system, our server, our cloud, HFN cloud, starts talking to the farmer in their native language on their WhatsApp. So we collect data about, oh, what's your name and what crop you are growing and things like that. And all that data put together gives us a much better understanding of what are major crops that are grown in that region, what are the farmers growing, what are the issues they are facing, and so on and so forth. So as you may see, while I mean, slowly and steadily, what we are building here is network of farmer networks. So we have a cluster have 300 farmers, and then there could be thousands of those clusters, which are highly aligned but loosely coupled through technology. So you may want to spend, few moments there. They're all highly aligned. They all want help from seed to market. They all want to come work with HFN. They want to grow their income. They want to solve their input problems, but they're all loosely coupled as well. So from seeding to sprouting to flowering. So what happens? These Sarathi, the village level entrepreneur, is given, as I said, multiple low hanging opportunities to earn his livelihood. For example, last year we introduced solar powered water pump to about 500,000 farmers. There are large companies in India who now realize that we have lots of feet on the ground and the trust in the farming ecosystem. So they are hiring our, these sarthis across the villages to introduce the product which we believe are going to be useful for the farmers. So about half, 500,000 small scale farmers were introduced with solar powered water pump. That's just one example. And when these tasks are performed, these sarthis get paid through these, privately owned large corporations. With increase in Sarathi income, as you could imagine, the trust starts building into the ecosystem. I know it sounds really contradictory, the money and the trust thing, but it's very, very important in the farming ecosystem because a lot of attempt have been done, at least in India, wherein farmer felt that they were cheated and so on and so forth. And for us to be able to build that trust, it's important that we help them increase their livelihood, starting from the Sarthi and from Sarthi to the farmers and so on and so forth. As these Sarthis starts growing means he's added the farmers, he started doing these tasks, farmers are coming, interacting. These Sarthis sort of graduates into the next layer or level where they starts HFN Kisan Center. One of those we just saw on the video where the okra was getting, collected. So many of these Sarthis, because they trust the HFN system, the values we have, they invest their money. Sometimes we co-invest with them, wherein they would convert a small shack in the village. It could be an old, building of a school or some admin building not getting used. And we convert that into HFN Kisan Center, where the farmers bring their crops on a regular basis, daily basis actually. And from there, we take it to the market and so on and so forth. So as these centers, as you could already imagine, is sort of starting to become an economic activity zone in the village, because currently they are bringing their produce on everyday basis. Slowly we are also starting to sell inputs could be a new type of seed or an existing solution to cover their trucks and trolleys and stuff like that. And eventually, we believe that we will be able to also help them choose the financial tools. It's important to sort of note here that while it looks very operational heavy, which it is, we are collecting immense amount of data about the farms and the farmers, which allows us to do today lots of things, but it also unlocks lot larger things in future. I'll give one example. So in India, and I'm assuming this happens in other parts of the world as well. In one season, let's say a farmer grows tomato and he gets a bumper, he gets a amazing price because he's the only farmer in that region, and he got, let's say, $100 for his tomato. What happens is next year, everybody in this region, in his region, let's say 1,000, 2,000 farmers would just go and grow the same tomato. What happens? Glut happens. So, uh, and there is no easy way to manage glut for anybody except unless we have data about it. So with these micro data we are collecting day in, day out basis would allow eventually to also nudge and guide these small farmers that, hey, you may want, you can buy whatever seed you want to buy, but you are 123rd farmer who is buying this seed, perhaps you should reconsider your decision. Things like that. And that's a lot, an amazing way to help farmer. I mean, it does sound small, but we have this opportunity here to nudge and guide these small farmers to pick the right package of practice. I'll give another example. Some of the farmers in India, we have moved them from traditional wheat growing practices to greenhouses, and their income has grown 10 times The water usage there in that plot has gone 80% because they are now using drip irrigation. The chemical usage in that plot has gone about 45% down, and so on and so forth. So some amazing things are happening because of this highly, aligned and loosely coupled approach we are doing here. So going back to three tenets, high tech, high touch, high trust. If you look a little bit deeper in that, it's sort of what tech does. And these are not, either or. These are all three things. These are like three important three-legged stool for us, wherein technology gives us scale, because I could reach to millions of farmers on SMS or WhatsApp, and I can understand their problems. The high touch is opening the Kisan centers, the collection centers. It allows us to get the engagement of the farmer, and eventually the high trust allows us to get the loyalties. So these three things together is wonderfully working for us, I believe, and that reflects into the kind of network we have been able to put together in just less than a decade, I would say. We are today in 13,000 plus villages in India. On the right hand side, we have a map of India. You could see we are all over the place. The larger the circle is bigger the network. We have about this data is a little old, but we have 9,300 plus Sarathis, those village level entrepreneurs who represent about 3.7 million small scale farmers who are connected with us through the digital and physical network. And what that also means that we have potentially we can influence over 10 million acres. We want to slowly move them away from the chemical driven farming to other things, but it's a multi-decade process. I hope today we can help them start making more money with us, win their trust, and slowly and steadily help them move to a more better sustainable farming, which is not only good for the farmer, but rest of the society. One last slide. Obviously a lot of lessons for us. As somebody was saying in the start, it's a holistic approach is needed. It's a very, very complicated, multi-dimensional problem. If you try to solve one thing and you see other things is sort of getting impacted, it's super complicated, at least for me, to have a very long-term vision while balancing current need of keeping farmers happy because they need to make money. I need to make money to keep the business on. But then we also need to sort of understand that, okay, this is where the future would be, and so on and so forth. And third thing is obviously, all of this require a lot of capital. And I'm realizing, coming from the pure for-profit world to this social impact driven work we are doing, patient capital is limited. So we have to sort of work with the limited resources we have. But I'm super excited that we have been able to reach so many farmers, and I believe that we are just getting started.
You kept referencing this phrase of the highly aligned and loosely coupled relationships that you're building with smallholder farmers. I'd love to hear more about what that means to you and how you're working with that framework.
I took this from the founder of Netflix. And what that essentially means is, um, we're building leaders. In my mind, these Sarthis, these village level entrepreneurs are the leaders who are leading these groups of 500, 600, 1,500 farmers. They are all aligned towards the common goal, or at least that's what we are trying to make sure that as a community, all the farmers are involved, they are growing together, and the end-to-end system system is built so that it is holistic. I'll give one example. Let's say if we are only into selling seeds, then uh, it it can skew as an organization, that my team and everybody down the line could end up selling just so much seed without actually thinking whether farmer needs it, or whether selling high yield too many seed would actually help farmer. because, oh, if I have too much crop, that also doesn't help because the prices will crash. So that's like a, broad, highly aligned vision. I'm just giving one example, but giving enough flexibility so that they can also do their own local thing, because each village, as you could see from the map, 13,000 plus villages, they have their own little problems. So they have, that's what this highly aligned, loosely coupled phrase is sort of reflecting there.
Loosely coupled in the context of they have their own autonomy to make their decisions based off of their village circumstances, their sociocultural contexts. So there's not necessarily like strict contractual agreements that are binding you into it.
I'll give one example. Glad that you put that phrase there, because what I have realized that, especially in India, signing contracts doesn't work. So, so it is better we align all of them in a way that they all believe this is the common goal, because whether we sign a contract or not, this should still work. In fact, what I found, we have created 19 formal farmer cooperative, like it is registered
Mm.
with Indian government and stuff like that. I felt that it is actually bringing down all that effort, because, oh, you have to file extra taxes, you do the paperwork and blah blah, and those farmers are not able to do it, so I am doing it. So I realized that, oh, if this all paperwork doesn't really keep these farmers together, there should be something which is beyond paper, and that beyond paper is making money, sort of a capitalistic view there, that, hey, can we come together and make money? And because I think that would become a binding force. And when you are transacting through us, I have data about you, and that allows me to give you better seeds, better financial tools. And then at macro level, I can actually help government of India do better insurance policies, because now I have farm level data. So it has a multi-billion dollar impact over the years. I think we will be able to, drive there.
Ruchit, first, out of transparency, I want to tell people that I'm an investor, a proud investor in HFN. But I think it would be useful for you to say what your financing mechanism is, because it's really one of the first companies that I've seen that have huge aspirations. If I'm right, once you cover India, you're planning to move to Africa. And but because of building trust, as we know, takes a long time.
Yeah.
How is it that you're juggling sort of the expansion plans versus the consolidations plans? You've already addressed my other question, which was, at what point can you begin influencing small farmers to shift some of the ways they're producing? Because I realize that first you just have to bring them a benefit, and then the cost grows, etc.
No, our goal is to, I mean, this is how I started. My thought process was, oh, we could do probably through the foundation, a non-profit foundation, but typically I felt that it's very donor driven, and usually it doesn't actually drive the right behavior up to the bottom line. So people do a bunch of things like, oh, let's do the pilot, this organic, and as soon as the fund goes. So that's why I ended up starting C Corp Delaware. We are a US company with a mindset that for thing to become sustainable, it has to make a business sense from top down level. So a center cannot just run because somebody has, it has to be profitable on its unit economics basis. Um, so how do we finance? One, we make money in these centers. Many of these centers are now net positive. So we are making small profits on those small centers we have. But the primary way we fund our operation is by raising equity and debt. So we have raised some equity thanks to Peggy. She super excited that she's part of the investment team. So we have raised equity, and then at the local Indian level, we have debt. So we get debt or loans from the local banks. And we also do something called invoice discounting through other banking instruments. Some of you may understand what that means. I don't know if I answer your question, Peggy.
Yeah, and I mean, this, I know that you have put blood, sweat, and tears into this. What would you say are the biggest challenges you're facing right now?
It's just access to capital, which is patient. I mean, because most of the investors who have, you know, I feel they are looking for quick returns. And the challenge we face is to be able to find investors who have patient capital. The good thing about this is it not only gives you return, but has a potential to make very, very positive social impact. So we need to find investor. I mean, that's where maybe this group can help, me connect with the potential social impact investors who have a long-term vision, which we carry.
Thank you so much. It's fascinating. I was just curious about, yet to the extent to which the folks involved in the effort, I guess the clients of the credit are part of existing farmer organizations and networks, federations. I know there's a whole heck of a lot going on in India of farmers affiliated in a lot of organizations and also part of the natural, farming infrastructure of the government, but also of the NGO sector. So I'm just curious about if that is kind of a requirement that they have some kind of affiliation with some sort of grassroots organization or network. Thank you.
We prefer to do it ourselves to start with, because each organization has different pace and different values and different culture. And what I have realized that I just want to go and get things done. Having said that, now that we have some scale, a lot of other organizations like Grameen Foundation, which is a very big foundation, they support bunch of clusters, and they now have given their sort of a cluster and where we are trying to help their farmers with market linkage. So we don't wait for an existing organization to come and work with the cluster. Our goal is to go create those clusters wherever we can. But in this journey, if somebody comes along and they have a similar values and we think we can work together, we work together. Yeah.
Just quickly wanted to ask Richard about what was the advice that he gave to the farmers when there was surplus of tomatoes, because that's what happened with us in Kathiawar, which is not a watermelon growing region, because one farmer got a great return from watermelon. The next season, everybody grew watermelon and there was a lot of wastage. And considering we have a lot of watermelon, which normally never grew there, did fantastically well, and then we didn't know how to handle it. So what was your advice when they all grew tomatoes?
Post facto, there is nothing can be done. Maybe they can make catch up. But the point I was trying to make was, unless we have data, we would never be able to do this. Because today, no government, state or central, collects any amount of data that how much seed, what type of seed, where it is getting sown, and things like that. So the important work we are doing is we are capturing the farm level data that allows us to create those dashboards where at some point in future I can start guiding farmers that, hey farmer, you are 523rd tomato, you're buying the tomato seeds, so you might be, it might not be good for you.